You are taught that money equals power. But what if the money dies, and the power survives? What if that's the part of financial history they don't teach? We think currency is the engine of empires. Yet again and again, the currency collapses, and the same hands still pull the levers afterward. How can power outlive money? Why do the middle class lose savings, while elites keep assets, and why do the fixes so often fail? To crack the mystery, follow the oldest rule of finance. Follow the promises. Who makes them, who breaks them, and who gets paid anyway? Money began as trust written down. Clay tablets and temple ledgers kept score before coins ever rang. Rulers learned fast. If you control the ledger, you control the people. Coins weren't just metal. They were tax receipts, army pay, and propaganda in your hand. Stamp a face on silver, and a state appears from thin air. But promises grow. Wars demand more pay, roads more stone, palaces more gold. Debts swell faster than taxes ever can. Rome lived this spiral first. The silver denarius lost purity as emperors scraped metal to fund legions. Prices rose, trust fell, merchants demanded more coins for the same bread. Then came the fix. Emperor Diocletian issued a price edict and wage caps under pain of death. Result? Shortages, black markets, and a shift to taxes in kind, not cash. Money died in the marketplace, power tightened in the bureaucracy. Peasants were tied to land, and the state survived as freedom shrank. Centuries later, the script rhymed in Paris. A brilliant Scot named John Law promised a painless cure for debt. Paper notes would unlock growth, and a Mississippi dream would pay the bill. The notes multiplied faster than trade. Shares levitated, fortunes glittered, and rents soared. Then belief cracked, and paper turned to smoke almost overnight. Who lost? Savers, salaries, and small merchants. Who lived on? The crown restructured debts, tax farmers regrouped, and privilege endured. The pattern sharpened in Germany after 1914. The Kaiser financed war with debt, promising victory would pay. Defeat paid instead, and reparations hid a wounded economy. The mark was sacrificed. By late 1923, prices were rising over 10 billion% per month. Workers were paid twice a day so they could run to buy bread. We call it hyperinflation, but look past the burning banknotes. Assets didn't burn. Ownership moved. Industrialists erased debts with cheap marks. Those with factories, farmland, and foreign assets survived or even improved. Teachers, clerks, and pensioners saw a lifetime vanish in months. Then a new promise arrived. The Rentenmark, backed by land and taxes, calmed the panic without gold. Stability returned, but who defined stability? Not the ruined middle class. Power had learned a lesson. When money dies, promise a reset, anchor it to real assets, and start again. Those with claims on the real economy will write the next rules. America watched and drew different conclusions. In 1933, gold ownership was banned and dollars were devalued by decree. Promises changed, but the state stayed solvent. In 1944, Bretton Woods crowned the dollar king, tethered to gold for nations. In 1971, convertibility ended overnight, with a television speech and a smile. Gold died for governments, but the dollar lived on through oil and trade. How? Oil was priced in dollars, and the world needed oil. Demand for dollars became a policy, not a law of nature. Inflation spiked in the 1970s. Wages chased prices chased energy, and confidence faltered. Volcker slammed the brakes, rates over 15%, and recession purged the fever. Who gained? Bond holders recovered, stocks rebounded, and assets rallied into a new era. Who paid? Indebted households, small factories, and job seekers paid with years of hardship. The Soviet story shows a harsher twist. The ruble died without a credible reset. Savings evaporated, shelves emptied, and the state dissolved. But power didn't vanish. Networks, not banknotes, mattered. Insiders privatized factories, media, and mines, and a new elite emerged. Zimbabwe repeated the theater in the 2000s. Land seizures gutted production, deficits ballooned, and the printing press roared. In 2008, monthly inflation hit 79.6 billion%. Notes lost zeros again and again, and finally lost meaning. Yet the ruling party endured by monopolizing licenses, contracts, and hard currency channels. Money died, power lived on through rationing and control. Venezuela shows the same script. The bolivar shed 99.9% of its value in a few years. Oil and imports were rationed, and networks replaced markets. Argentina has lived many lives in one. The peso has lost over 99% of its value since the early 2000s. Capital controls, temporary freezes, and hurried redemptions became a way of life. So, why do fixes fail so often? Because most fixes chase symptoms, not causes. They freeze prices, censor exchange rates, or demonize speculators. Price controls create shortages. Capital controls create black markets. Redenominations create new paper, but not new trust. Real fixes are slower and messier. They repair taxes, protect property, restore credible constraints, and cut hidden subsidies. They shift power, and that is the hardest fix of all. Now look around you. In 2020, broad money in the United States rose roughly 26% in a year, the fastest jump since World War II. Stocks, homes, and crypto exploded. The median home price soared more than wages, and rents followed. Then consumer inflation hit multi-decade highs into 2022, who gained again. Owners of scarce assets, companies with pricing power, and firms closest to policy, who fell behind, new savers, fixed income households, and the unconnected. Since the mid-20th century, the dollar has lost over 90% of its purchasing power. Not in a blaze, but a slow burn you hardly notice. It's a quiet tax with loud consequences. We are told this is different because the system is smarter. It probably is smarter. It is also better at shifting pain without breaking itself. Emergency lending, quantitative easing, and backstops can save banks in a weekend. But they can also cement market concentration for a generation. Fewer firms, larger moats, more leverage over policy. And when digital money meets policy ambition, the toolkit expands again. Programmable payments can target relief fast. They can also target restrictions fast. The repeating pattern is not conspiracy. It is incentive. States need resources in a crisis. They will change the rules to get them. When promises outrun production, money bends. When money finally breaks, power reaches for new anchors. Land, energy, taxes, law, networks, anything but yesterday's paper. So what do we do with this hidden history? We start by naming the cycle we see. Promise, expansion, strain, patch, break, consolidation, reset. 3 takeaways for your own mental ledger. Money is a claim. Power decides which claims survive. Own things that claims must chase productive skills, resilient networks, and real assets. Watch incentives, not slogans. If a fix preserves cash flows for the powerful while socializing losses, expect more of that fix. Trust, not technology, stabilizes money. Constraints that bind everyone, transparent budgets, independent auditing, rule of law matter more than clever engineering. Here is the warning. If we forget that money is a tool of power, we will mistake relief for repair. We will cheer the patch and sleep through the consolidation. But open your eyes, and the mystery turns useful. You can read the signs before the headlines arrive. You can prepare quietly and vote for constraints that outlive crises. If this changed how you see money and power, share it. Tell me which episode shocked you most, or which I should dig into next. Subscribe for the next chapter they didn't teach you, because the ledger is still being written.